Happy Wednesday morning. I'm here with Coffee with Kari with my beautiful daughter, Elyssa, my oldest daughter. Introduce yourself.
Oh, Elyssa Bagnato, the oldest daughter.
The oldest daughter. Okay, so we are going to talk about some fun things. So these are supposed to be like information about me and my life and my family, and not so much real estate related. But you've done some pretty cool things with real estate, so we are going to dabble into some real estate topics with you.
I like dabble.
We're going to dabble. But first, let's talk about life growing up with Dad and I, and how much of an amazing mom I am.
You are an amazing mom.
Oh, did I pay you to say that?
No.
So anything that stands out in particular about growing up? And
Well, I don't know.
No.
You guys taught me good life lessons
Oh.
without me even realizing it.
Oh, that's
Which
really
is-
important.
Yeah.
Like we did on the sly. We tricked you into things. I like that.
I thought you guys were just being turds, but then I realized later.
Well, and it helps that you have kids now.
Oh, yeah.
So now you can appreciate. Okay, I do have to say, growing up, you would be like, I can't believe you do that. And then now you're calling me and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
I understand why you do
Or when you would make like Haley or Hunter something or do something different with them than me, and I would say, like, that's so rude because we're all your kids. And then I'm like, oh,
They're different.
every kid is different.
Or when I would make 4 different dinners.
Which I now do.
Right, which I love, because you would be like, they should all eat the same thing.
Yeah. I make 4 different dinners every night.
So sometimes you get your punishment of what you complain about when you
Oh,
were
yeah.
younger.
I complained about Hunter eating hot dogs and mac and cheese like every night.
Right.
I'd be like, what are we doing? Make him eat the hamburger. And now I have a daughter who won't even eat a hot dog unless I peel the skin off. So
That's a big one.
that's why I should have kept my mouth closed.
So you grew up with way younger siblings. So
Yeah.
your kids are pretty close in age. Most people's kids are pretty close in age. Dad and I are cuckoo, and all of our kids are 7 years apart. So one of your siblings is 14 years younger than you.
Yeah. Almost 15, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
yeah.
Oh, that's true.
I had
Really,
a car
almost
seat in my car in high school.
15. That's funny. That's true. So, what was it like growing up with younger siblings, much younger?
Well, first of all, I was super excited to be a
Mm-hmm.
big sister.
Mm-hmm.
But I was an only child for a long time,
Okay.
7 years. That's a long time
Mm-hmm.
to have your own stuff. And then Haley came and I was super excited. And things didn't, my parents were always really good at dividing attention. So I don't feel like things changed super drastically for me. But then Hunter, I wouldn't say things changed. Mom and Dad still did stuff, but like they went from having 2 older kids. I was in high school. Haley was in school full time, so my parents were doing their own, like, back to being able to do some more stuff. She was working, and we were able to go more places and do more things. And then we had Hunter. And then things, well, it just changes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I was still really excited.
Mm-hmm.
But he also made me, like, I didn't want to go away to college because he was 4 and he was so cute. He's so cute, but a 4-year-old.
Yeah. Well, and we were really good, like, even though you were older,
Yeah.
We did not have you babysit.
No.
Like, very rarely.
I watched Haley once so they could take Hunter on a walk when he was literally, like, weeks old.
Yeah, how'd that turn out?
And Haley is crazy. And she had some neon light in her room, dropped it, stepped on it coming to get me, cut her foot wide open. It's bleeding everywhere. So they just don't leave her with me. She's a liability, not me.
I love you, hey. Haley's probably watching.
Every time I watched her, she got hurt.
Yeah. But yeah. No, but we didn't want you to be the built-in babysitter. We were very aware of the fact that you were an older sibling, and so we were trying to be good about that you know, because you were definitely, we could just leave anytime, leave you with the kids. but we didn't do that. So, yeah, we just tried to make sure that you had this. One thing that I thought was interesting is that even though, like you and Haley, for instance, you're both girls,
right?
but you were 7 years apart, so you didn't share clothes, you didn't share toys, really, but you always found something to fight about. Like, it was interesting.
Once you got old enough to talk.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But you would think you guys would have had nothing to fight about, but I think siblings are siblings, and that just happens.
My kids don't share anything either because they're almost 4 years apart.
Yeah.
My girls, they don't have to share clothes or a room or toys because they play with different things.
Yeah.
And they fight all the time.
That's just interesting, to me, right? There's always something to argue about. Okay, so let's talk about, we're going to dive into kind of what Dad and I taught you about savings, because you bought your first home when you were 22.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And I actually am posting today some information about the different generations. And one thing that I thought was fascinating is our current generation, Generation X, right? You're a Y?
I think,
Hunter's generation.
I think, yeah.
Whatever that one is. I forget. Anyways, go look at my post today. Hunter's generation is the generation that's buying homes younger than any previous generation. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And so with that, I thought, even though we're not supposed to talk about real estate, I wanted to talk a little bit about what Dad and I taught you about saving and how you were able to buy your first house at the age of 22, because that's an accomplishment. And for those that are past the age of 22 that are just trying to buy their first house, the stuff that you have done can apply to them at any age.
So, okay, so this was one of the lessons that I was taught without knowing I was being taught.
Okay.
So I got my first job when I was 15 and a half with a work permit, and I worked at a real estate office as a receptionist. And then when I turned 16, yes. And then when I turned 16, I got another job during the week after school. And I worked at, it's not in my town.
Yeah.
But Aladinos. And my parents made me, so the deal was they paid my car insurance and my cell phone bill if I got good grades, which I always got good grades. So, but I had to like pay for gas and going out with my friends and things like that. But I had to bring my check to my mom and show her what I made, and I got to keep half of my check, which isn't very much because I made $6.25 an hour when I started working. So, they made me put half of my check into savings, and I didn't really know what I was saving it for, but they made me do it. And I lived at home, and I didn't have bills, so I put half of it away. And then I went to college, and I had access to that.
Well, first, can I say, Dad and I would have paid your cell phone bill and your car insurance regardless. So that was just something that we were going to do. But we thought we'd put a twist on it and make it have some leverage with the fact that we want you to learn how to save money. And with putting half of your money in savings, and then the half that you did get in your checking, you had to manage that between your gas and going out. And if you wanted that new pretty dress for no reason, you know, those kinds of things. And so not only were you growing a savings, but you were also managing the little money that you had in your checking,
like this much,
to last in between things. And so that was kind of the lesson we were trying to teach you.
Which I didn't realize why they were making me save half my money, but now it makes sense. So then I went to college. I didn't save anything. I was a college student. I moved out. It's expensive. But I had that money to fall back on. And I came out of college debt-free. So, yeah, I worked. I got some scholarships. Mom and Dad helped me as much as they could, and I came out debt-free. So,
well, and the rule for that, because you did go to a close college, was that when you decided that you wanted to live off campus and in a house, that it was more on you. We paid for the schooling, because you could have come home and lived at home, could have stayed in, like, you had a lot of different options, but you wanted to live on your own and have some roommates, which I think was an amazing experience, and I'm glad that you did it.
Yeah, me too.
And that's why you had the money, so that you could do those kinds of things, and it was nice that you were able to do that. And then you grew, at that time was the recession,
Yeah.
So you didn't have a lot of job opportunities like you did years prior.
Yeah.
And so you did have some savings that when you were in between a job.
There were times that I did not have a job.
Yeah.
And I lived on my own. Yeah.
But you had.
But I had some money.
Net there.
So then I did move back home my last semester to save some money. And my last 2 semesters, I did not have a scholarship. So I moved home. Mom and Dad helped me with the tuition, but tuition was really expensive. So, $600 a month. That's like what it cost my apartment. So then I got married right before I graduated, and I had a plan in my head, and I didn't really tell my husband because not that we hadn't talked about it, but I don't think that like owning a home or worrying about the
finances were your deal.
Right. Worrying about what would happen in 20 years was it wasn't a concern for him. So he was in the military, and we moved to Monterey. And when you're in the military, but this is true for any life, like you have a certain amount that you can spend on your housing, right? Whether you make $3,000 a month, that means you can spend $1,200, whatever it is. We had a certain amount that we could spend on housing. And I went with my mom and looked at all of the cheapest apartments in Monterey because it was just us two, but we did need to live on our own. So I found an apartment. It's a long time ago, but it was like $850. And we had over double that to spend on housing because it is Monterey and it's expensive. So.
And it was a cute little place.
Yeah. So I rented this apartment, and like everyone that.
But I think that was, so hold on. I think that's a big point that what you're trying to say right now is that by when you worked and you only got half your check, you did without a lot.
Yes.
You learned to live a lifestyle that was not over your means,
yes.
Right? And you knew that you had a bigger goal and a bigger picture. So you were okay doing without a lot.
For a while, yes.
Right? Because you knew that it was going to make something. So you knew when you were in high school, you didn't have 7 new dresses. You had 1 new dress.
Right.
And then you had money to go away to college, right?
Yeah.
And then now you have a small little apartment that you just lay your head in.
Yes.
When everybody else had big, nice houses.
Everyone that we were friends with from the military got a new car and lived in a big 3-bedroom house for just them and their spouse. And they made fun of us because we lived in this shanty apartment and we drove 20-year-old cars, but they ran and I was fine with it. Mm-hmm. And I saved $1,000, sometimes more if I could, every single month. And then 12 months into our marriage, he came home from work and I said, we're going to go home this weekend because I found a house that I want to buy. And he was like, with what money? Because I've always handled all the bills. And I said, I've been saving. You think this apartment costs what we have to other people are living in 3-bedroom houses. So this is obviously less. Right. And we bought a house.
Yeah. Now, did you buy your dream home?
No, I bought the one house that was in my price range. Didn't even really have to go look at it. So
right, but okay. So now here's a really important thing that I think is like we need to talk about. So you were looking for the great deal with instant equity.
Yeah. So I was looking for the cheapest house in the best neighborhood.
Correct. And so we took some time and we did some research, and when it came up, you were ready, right? And it really was like, I'll buy it sight unseen, but we kind of have looked at it, right? Yeah. So I looked at it for you, but then I was like, you need to come see it. So, but you knew it wasn't going to be your forever home, and it was going to be a stepping stone to let me take this money that I've saved and make some more money.
I just want to get in. Yeah.
So you had that for about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, right?
Yeah.
When you sold that, how much money did you make?
Just over $100,000.
That is humongous. That is humongous. Now, had you taken that money and bought the most expensive house that didn't need any work or that was perfect,
right,
you would have probably still been in the house. Yes. And it wouldn't have been the perfect house, right? So instead, you sold that house, took your $100,000, Now, when you bought your second house, did you buy your forever, like your dream home, or did you then buy
No.
again?
So when we bought our second house, first of all, we used that $100,000 and we bought new cars cash.
Right.
Because we were living in North Carolina at the time, and our cars were both like crapping out.
You need something reliable. Daddy wasn't there to fix them.
Yeah. So I never had a problem driving an old car because my dad is a car genius. So for me, it was like a no-brainer. Why would I pay extra money?
Right.
But when I'm in North Carolina and my husband's gone because he's in the military and my dad isn't there, I need to have a car. So we bought cars and we still had money. And I knew we were going to move home. So again, I told my mom, look for foreclosures or short sales or whatever you can
There's
find.
some homes in distress of some sort.
Yeah.
But
and
you wanted them, but you had an area that you wanted to be in. You wanted to be in the Discovery Bay area.
Yes.
If you could.
I wanted to be as close to my mom and dad as I could. So a house came up that was like half mile from them, not on the water, which is super rare in Discovery Bay, and it's pretty much all we can afford. And it was a short sale.
And it had some issues.
It had a lot of issues.
It had a lot of issues.
But it was a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew we could make money on it, and I knew that's where I wanted to live.
And you knew a lot of the work we could do ourselves,
yes.
Or I found some vendors that did some really less expensive work than the normal would have been. So anyway, so we got the house, we fixed
that one I did buy before I saw it.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't come home to look at it. But it was the only thing in your price range. We got the bids. It was in the location you wanted for sure.
Yes.
And we knew that we could either turn it and make a profit if you didn't end up loving it, or that you could live in it and make it something nice, right? And you've done a lot to it. No. I mean,
you guys have helped
we fixed the major issues.
So, yeah. So I think we've had it for almost 4 or 5 years.
And how much have you made on it if you were to sell?
So about 100.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I also want to make a point. When we bought the house, that was all we could afford. Mm-hmm. My husband now has a way different job. Mm-hmm. And we could technically be approved for way more than what our house is. But I won't move. Because.
So what's your plan now then?
So now I pay extra toward principal every month. My goal is to pay the house off quicker. But also that's just a savings in itself, because the more I pay off, if we do sell the house, the more I would get. So not really.
So is your plan then to one day move into another home, or are you trying to buy rental properties?
No, we're going to stay. And we're right now saving so that we can buy a rental property.
Nice.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. So, so what I'm hearing is the fact that for not me helping you save.
Yes, that is it.
But I do have to say something about helping you save and teaching you, because I know that one thing that we spoke about when you were little is you don't need credit cards and don't charge up credit cards. Haley had the same problem. So my middle daughter, Haley, we had the same deal with her, and she had to save all of her money. She needed to buy a new car, and when we went to get a new car, she had enough money saved to pay for the car in cash, but they had some zero financing or something, so we wanted to go ahead and get the financing. But because she had no credit, she didn't qualify to buy the car, even though she had enough to buy it cash in the bank. So we ended up co-signing with her so that she could now build her credit up from that car loan. But you did get a credit card that you charged one bill a month and paid it off or something?
Yeah. So my first credit card I bought a computer on. Learned my lesson. Spent $2,000 on a $600 computer. I'm sure of it. I don't really know, but I know So, and then.
You can see how much she hates spending money when she doesn't have to, right?
I hate it. So then I kept that credit card, but I didn't use it. I got another credit card, and I put I think like my gas bill on it, which was always the same. It's very low. I paid it off.
Your gas bill meaning PG&E.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Sacramento, and I paid it off every month to build my credit. And then when I met Nick, he had no credit, but I had a plan. I knew I wanted to buy a house, so I knew we needed credit. So I added him, and we opened another credit card together with our bank that we we started banking together.
Yeah.
But it was a credit card, and I put everything on it and paid it off every month, so that it saw that I was getting a really big, not really big, but like I'm putting all my bills on it, and then I paid it off.
Right.
So every single month,
so you never paid any interest, but you were gaining your credit.
So I think, our credit score is really good, but because I had started lower because I made a boo-boo in college, then like a year into our marriage, Nick had better credit than me, and I was pissed because I was paying those bills.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It's not right.
That's so funny. So, okay, so now you have 2 children and 1 on the way.
Yes.
My 3rd grandbaby is going to be here in a couple weeks. I think any day.
They're wrong.
It could be now. I don't know. It could be any day. But we don't know if we're having a boy or a girl.
No. It's a girl.
I think it's a boy. We'll see who's going to be right. What is your vote? Do you think it's going to be a boy or a girl? Tell us what you think. How is it now having the 2 kids and trying to save? Because that's even more difficult.
It's really hard. When you have kids,
Yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah. Well, things come up. Birthday parties and school things and outings and things that may not be in the budget. But I just do it how I've always done it, which is pay all of our necessary bills. And whatever we have left is what we have left. So that means we don't go out to dinner. Then we don't go out to dinner. My kids will never go without, but I will. Like if I need a new pair of shoes, I might just have to wait till next month. It just depends on what comes up. But the money that I put toward our mortgage, the extra money, for me, that's an easy way to save. We already have our rainy day fund and savings. If you don't have that, you have to build that first. But I have that. So for me, my mortgage just goes out of my account. Mm-hmm. I don't have to do anything. So it's already pulling extra money. So I've already saved. If I don't save anything else that month, I've already done that by just paying my mortgage.
So now, do you have a set number that you're wanting to save every month, and then you have? So are you still doing the so much of my savings, so much of my checking, figure out how to live off this checking number? Or does sometimes
no,
you don't do that? So now you're doing I'm going to do what I need to do for my bills, and whatever's left over, I will then put that in.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Because life is different now.
Yeah.
So you have to do it differently.
I think before you have kids, you can, to me, really live with not a lot.
Well, like you said, you could live without a lot, but you don't want your kids to live without a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And my kid, she outgrew a car seat. Well, they're $250. So I have to buy that. That is not
right.
It's Halloween. Costumes are $60 each. They have to have a costume. Yeah. So yeah. We still save as much as we can. But the amount that we pay extra to our mortgage also, I just increased it because for me, right now that is our savings.
Right.
Because if we want to buy a rental property, we can pull out our equity in that. So I'm just building our equity really. Mm-hmm. And the faster I can do that, the better right now, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. So this might not have been, we're going to have you back on so we can talk about more stuff about you, but I just really admire, I see a lot of, first I admire what you've done with your finances. I know you've had an amazing teacher.
I did.
But I don't know, those who can't do teach, right? No. No, I
No,
think,
but I even watched Grandma and Grandpa have
Yeah.
rental. Like my whole family has done something with real estate.
well, and I had mom and dad on, and my mom and dad talked about how they did without.
Right.
All of their friends were buying new furniture, and dad was getting furniture from garage sales. And
So that's still what Nick and I do 90% of the time.
Right.
And like we do have nice cars because we bought them, but we paid cash, and I have like no intention. My car's 5 years old. A lot of people now won't drive. They don't drive a 5-year-old car.
Right.
They'll trade it in and get the new model. Not me.
Right. Well, and I had the same vehicle for 20 something years.
Yeah.
My Excursion. So, yeah, it's just that's kind of what my dad had taught me, and then I passed down to the kids. Is that, but you are in a position now where, because you have your rainy day fund, because you have your home and a low payment that's locked in for 30 years, you make more money now. So you have the ability to splurge and do something that you just got new fences for your house.
Yeah.
So you are fixing up your yard and your house in the way that you're going to be comfortable with, which is something that you would not have done had you not saved so much and done those kinds of things.
Well, and not just knowing how to budget. I mean,
and I feel like you're kind of sly with that because you're fixing up your house, which then gives you more equity.
Right. I only spend money on things that will make money.
That's what I do too. If Dad wants a new toy, it's got to be something that we could sell if we want to. So it's just a savings. So okay. So anything else about?
You did a good job.
Oh, well, it was easy. Got great kids. So that was, I just kind of thought that it was kind of timely because we're talking about the different generations, and I have a lot of people that are maybe your age that are really deep in debt, and saving $5 a month is difficult for them.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is to save the $5 a month. It will add up over time. The $5 will then be $50 that you can save, and then it could be whatever. So a lot of people think, what is this $20 a month going to get me? But it will add up, and you started small with a minimum wage job that was not our minimum wage. And I just think that it's really important for people to hear that it's never too late. Doesn't matter how old you are. Start your savings, work on your credit, and get into a home so that you could have the tax write-off.
Our house now, like if we were to rent, we need a house now. We have almost 3 kids.
Right.
So if we were looking to rent, we would pay almost $1,000 more than our mortgage is now. Right now.
And you have the fear of, you're going to have a baby any week now, and the landlord calls and says he's selling the house. Right. And now you have to find another house, and uproot your kids, maybe change schools. A lot of my clients that are in rentals, when the landlord decides to make a change, they have to move schools because they can't no longer afford the area that they were in. It's really, really sad. And so the fact, that's a big reason also, is especially if you have kids and they're in a school and their friends are right down the street or whatever it is, you want to maybe lock that in.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully this was an insight for all of you parents. Maybe you could share this with your kids. I think it's really important information. If you have any questions for Elyssa or I, go ahead and ask them, send me a message, and pick her brain. So, all right, guys, I will see you next Wednesday on Coffee with Kari. Hope you guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.